From black beggar to millionaire, how Elon Musk and Donald Trump inspire dreams. They say legends are born from the darkest corners. Ethan Stone wasn't just a billionaire. He was an enigma wrapped in a riddle. Once a nobody, chased by debts and shadows, he rose to control the world's most daring dreams. Interplanetary travel. The kind of dream Elon Musk sold us? The way Trump built towers from dust and outrage? A wild mix of hope and swagger that pulls you in like a storm. But Ethan? His story twists even deeper. In a glittering hall, packed with flashing cameras and breath held tight, Ethan stood on the edge of history. The world waited, jaws clenched and eyes wide, for the unveiling of his newest mission. Rockets, colonies, promises to escape a broken Earth. Then, nothing. Just a sudden blackout, followed by frantic shouts and a wave of stunned silence that crushed the room. When the lights surged back, Ethan Stone vanished. No trace, no whisper. Oh, he disappeared into thin air, as if swallowed by the very space he promised to conquer. Whispers exploded everywhere. Some said dark secrets locked in Stone's secret labs, a forbidden technology that could shatter everything we know about life and death. Others feared political puppeteers behind the scenes, pulling strings before the whole world's eyes. Enter Claire. She's young but sharp, her hands steady as the storm swirls around her. The daughter of a corporate titan. She's tangled in loyalties that cut like knives. To expose the truth might destroy her family, yet to stay silent feels like betrayal. Her heart pounds like a trapped bird whenever she digs deeper, the weight of her choices heavy in her gut. Then there's Robert Grant, loud, brash, and twice as dangerous. A controversial ex-president turned real estate shark. The man's chewing up the global elite in his private lair. He claims he holds the key to Ethan's disappearance, tossing cryptic clues like poison gifts. Claire dives into the chaos. Every step she takes edges her closer to a storm beneath the storm. Secret meetings, cryptic messages, betrayal sonados entre familias Belón. Grant's planes empiezan a crumblar entre sus ojos y enfrenta una verdad de clavas en su alma. Su sombra de la familia se estrecha hasta este mes, conectada a una más antigua y más peligrosa que nadie le quiere admitir. Ethan Stone nunca se despertó por accidente. It was orchestration, radical, ethical experiment to break society's chains, to test how far we'd go chasing myths and monsters. The disappearance, a mirror held up to us all. The room tightens, breaths shorten. The question hangs thick in the air. What power lies hidden in the ancient project Claire is now unraveling? The project that could tilt the fate of every living thing. She feels the chill of eyes watching, of enemies waiting. To speak is to risk obliteration. Another second slips away, and the truth edges closer to being buried for good. What will Claire do next? The silence screams. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The room held its breath as Claire stood, the weight of truth pressing against her chest like a leaden weight. The stakes had never been higher. Everyone expected her to solve the mystery, to bring light to the shadows where Ethan Stone had vanished. Yet deep down, something gnawed at her. Was it truly fear, or something more shocking? Then, from the far corner, a sudden commotion erupted. A figure burst into the hall, rushing in like a storm. It was an old man, wild-haired and wild-eyed, his clothes tattered, as if he just crawled from the depths of a forgotten place. It was Ethan's father, the unassuming scientist who had been lost in his own shadows long before Ethan had taken center stage. "Stop!" he shouted, voice quaking but steady. "You don't know the truth. None of you do." Gasps echoed. Claire's heart raced. She had heard whispers of Ethan's father, a mad genius who had warned of the dangers of their world's ambitions. This was no ordinary interruption. It was a flash of lightning cutting through the fog. What truth could the man be holding? Ethan's father stumbled forward, ignoring the crowd. He locked eyes with Claire, and she felt a jolt of recognition. "You," he croaked, pointing a trembling finger. "You're the key. You must listen." Before she could process it, the crowd responded with confusion, murmurs rising like a storm. "What does he mean?" someone called out. "Who is this man?" He raised his hand for silence, desperation written across his face. They took Ethan to protect him, to protect all of us. The project, it was never about space. It's about freeing humanity from its chains. The ripple of disbelief crashed through the room. Claire felt her world shift beneath her feet. "Freeing? What are you saying? What does that even mean?" "They're already here," he exclaimed, eyes darting with fear. "They've been watching, waiting for Ethan to—" Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging the hall into darkness. Gasps turned into shouts as panic spread. Claire strained to hear above the chaos, her breath shallow. Then, a loud thud. Someone had fallen. The lights surged back, and Claire's heart sank. In the confusion, Ethan's father lay on the ground, motionless. Shock filled the air as whispers turned to cries. "Get help!" Then Claire's gaze shifted. Across the room, a figure cloaked in shadow stepped forward, a face half hidden. Robert Grant. The former president was grinning, a twisted satisfaction lurking behind his eyes. "You had to know, Claire," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. "You were always so ambitious, but you didn't realize you were playing with fire." "Fire?" she gasped, every breath feeling like glass in her throat. "What do you mean?" He took a step closer, eyes glinting like sharp knives. Ethan's plan was born from the ashes of secrets, ones your precious family designed. Did you think your father would let you walk away unscathed? Time froze. Claire's heart pounded louder than ever. Her family? Shadows surged from her past, memories flickering like poorly stuffed dolls in her mind. She had no idea how deep the rabbit hole went. Robert leaned in, his words slithering into her ear. You're woven into this mess more than you care to admit. And now, it's time to find out just how high the stakes really are. The room spun, and Claire felt a tremor run through her body. Was she truly trapped in this game? Was her family the puppet masters she feared they might be? The clock ticked ominously on the wall, each second a reminder that the truth was slipping away. Silence fell again, thick and suffocating. What was happening? And what would happen next? The countdown had begun, and Claire was caught in a storm of revelations. Her world forever altered. What secrets still lay buried? Time was running out. The silence wraps around Claire like a heavy blanket, suffocating yet charged with anticipation. What power lies hidden in the ancient project? The unanswered questions beat in her chest. Harder, faster. Each heartbeat echoes louder, drowning out the whispers of doubt that circle in her mind. Could the secret to Ethan Stone's disappearance shift everything she believes? Then, without warning, the deafening sound of shattering glass splinters through the air. Everyone turns, eyes wide, hearts racing, and there, at the far end of the hall, chaos unfurls. Security alarms blare, red lights flashing like angry fireflies. A figure bursts through the broken door, tall, cloaked in shadows. "Stop!" a guard shouts, rushing forward, but the figure moves with an unnatural speed, gliding past barriers like a wraith escaping chains. With frantic hands, people begin to scatter. Claire's pulse races. Her instincts scream at her to run, yet she's rooted to the spot. Black hood, tattered clothing, and eyes that glimmer like shards of ice. Who is this intruder? What do they want? "Claire!" A voice cuts through the chaos. It's Robert Grant pushing through the panicking crowd. "Get down!" He lunges towards her, but she barely registers him. The dark figure stops in front of Ethan's unveiling stage. Heart drumming in her ears, Claire realizes they're wearing something dangling from their neck. A pendant that glimmers ominously in the strobes of light. "Ethan," the figure intones, voice low and haunting. "I'm here to finish what he started." With those words, time freezes. Claire's breath catches, the air thick with confusion and fear. Could this figure be connected to Ethan? Suddenly, a blinding flash erupts, illuminating the room. Claire shields her eyes, and in that split second, the figure raises their arms, palms up. The pendant glows even brighter, and a rumble shakes the ground beneath her feet, sending shock waves of energy pulsing through the crowd. What was this? Power? Magic? Reality felt like it was bending around them. Confusion reigns. Men and women scream, and Robert curses audibly, searching for some semblance of control. Then, as suddenly as it started, everything stops. The noise falls away, replaced by an uncanny stillness that grips the room. Slowly, Claire opens her eyes. Heart racing. The figure has vanished, leaving only an echo of their presence behind. The pendant lies on the stage, dormant, glinting innocuously in the chaotic luminous haze. Time resumes in frantic bursts as people rush for exits, the panic flooding back. She feels Robert at her side, his face pale. "What the hell just happened?" I don't know," Claire stutters, knees weak. Who were they? What did they mean? And then it hits her like a tidal wave. The realization that reshapes everything she thought she understood. If that figure was tied to Ethan, perhaps he wasn't simply missing. Perhaps he had orchestrated this from the beginning. A puppet master, weaving a grand tale of deception that left her family and the world caught in its web. In that moment, her loyalty wavers. The truth twists like a knife in her gut. Was her own blood involved in this? The room feels airless, as if the walls themselves are closing in. Claire glances toward the door. The escape now just a faint whisper in her mind, overshadowed by a rising dread. What secrets lie in her family's past? And how deeply was she tangled in this conspiracy? The urgency of the moment propels her forward. With trembling hands and a racing heart, she reaches for the pendant, feeling the weight of a storm brewing within. As cold metal touches her skin, a spark lights up her thoughts, pushing her further into the abyss of mystery and danger. What awaited her at the end of this path? She could feel it, circling close, irrational, terrifying, and electrifying. The countdown has begun again, but this time for Claire. As everything spirals into disarray, she grips the pendant tight, ready to uncover a truth that could shatter her world. She can't turn back now. What horrors and revelations lie ahead? Claire clutched the pendant, her heart racing, trembling under the weight of questions. Around her, chaos reigned, panic filling the air like smoke. The thrill of discovery pulsed through her veins, but the fear was suffocating. What would come next? In that moment, Robert Grant leaned closer, his voice urgent and low. You need to get out of here, Claire. This isn't safe. His eyes darted around, scanning for threats. He looked fierce and vulnerable, like a cornered lion. But her gaze stayed fixed on the pendant. The glow flickered softly, whispering secrets she desperately needed to understand. Before she could reply, the lights flickered again, this time more violently. The room shuddered. Then a boom echoed. The walls vibrated. It felt like an explosion, a silent scream that knocked everyone to their knees. Claire shielded her head, her heart in her throat. When she dared to look up, the far wall had crumbled inwards, dust and debris swirling like a storm. Suddenly, figures appeared in the haze. They moved fluidly, darting through the wreckage like shadows come to life. The crowd gasped, fear rippling through the audience as more chaos unfurled. "Ethan!" Claire screamed, the name barreling out before she could stop it. She didn't even know if he was alive. She could barely believe he had orchestrated this. But in the midst of the chaos, something unexpected happened. One of those shadowy figures stepped into the light. It was a woman, her hair wild, eyes burning with intensity that nearly set the room ablaze. Claire's breath hitched. She looked familiar, but Claire couldn't place her. Then the woman raised her hands, and the crowd fell silent. Everyone stared, breaths caught. "It's not what you think," she shouted, her voice cutting through the tension. "Ethan didn't just plan to disappear. He wanted to awaken you all. The project was about human potential, not just conquering space." Claire's mind whirled. Who was this? She glanced at Robert, confusion etched across his face, but as quickly as it came, a look of recognition flashed in his eyes. "No, it can't be," he murmured. The woman stepped closer. locking eyes with Claire. It sent a jolt through her, as if recognizing something deeper. I'm not just here to explain the truth. I'm here to help you unlock it, she pressed, her intensity calming the panic that still lingered. Because, Claire, you aren't who you think you are. Everything froze. Claire's pulse thundered in her ears. What did she mean? Her hands tightened around the pendant. You've been living in a lie, the woman continued, urgency burning in her gaze. One that connects you to Ethan in ways you can't even begin to understand. Your family's secrets, they aren't just shocking. They redefine everything. With those words, Claire felt the ground shift beneath her, angles of her identity realigning. Her thoughts spiraled. It was as if every moment of her life snapped into focus, revealing larger patterns woven into the fabric of her very existence. But how? How could this stranger know her truth? As if sensing her doubt, the woman leaned in, whispering urgently, "You need to trust me. ... Time is running out." Robert's voice broke through her haze, desperate and incredulous. "This isn't real. It can't be." "Watch," the woman commanded, and suddenly the lights dimmed again. Shadows danced, and Claire's reality felt ready to unravel. Her thoughts raced. Was this a warning? A revelation? What truth lay just out of reach? Before she could grapple with the enormity of what was happening, the room exploded with sound. Alarms blared, a deafening chorus of chaos and fear. The ground beneath her trembled again, and Claire felt the air crackle. Finally, she gazed at the pendant one more time. A surge of energy pulsed through her fingers. What was it hiding? And just then, right before her eyes, the pendant exploded with light. Anyone watching would never forget the sight. The brilliant flash consuming everything. Claire was thrown backward, consciousness slipping away. When she awoke, she was alone. The chaos had vanished. The room, empty. The pendant vanished from her hand, leaving only an echo of the truth it promised. She sat up, heart pounding. A chilling question echoing in her mind. What did it all mean, and who could she trust now? The room tightened, breaths shortened. The question hung thick in the air. What power lay hidden in the ancient project Claire was now unraveling? Claire's heart thundered as she sought clarity. But the truth felt slippery, like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. Then a loud bang echoed from the far corner. Glass shattered, lights flickered, and everyone turned, eyes wide with fear. "Stay down!" someone yelled. The crowd scrambled, hearts raced. Claire's mind spun, and then it hit her. There was no applause for Ethan Stone, no cheers for the man who dared to dream. This was chaos. From behind the thick curtain, figures burst forth, armed, masked, moving with precision. "Everyone on the ground, now!" Their voices demanded obedience. Claire's feet froze. She felt the cold grip of terror. Was this tied to Ethan? Panic surged through her veins as she remembered Grant's cryptic warnings. He had known something was off. The world of billionaires and power players was more cutthroat than she imagined. "Claire!" A familiar voice pierced through the noise. It was Robert Grant, scrambling toward her. His normally bold demeanor cracked. He looked afraid. "We need to get out of here," he said. But his eyes flicked to the gunman, calculating. I might know them. I might have made a deal. But I didn't think they'd come here. What do you mean? Claire's voice shook, barely a whisper. She could see shadows creeping closer. Before he could answer, the lights went out again. Total darkness. The room erupted into screaming and confusion. Claire fumbled her way, instinct pushing her to run. Run from the chaos. Run from everything she thought she knew about Robert. A crackle of light returned. She spotted a glowing exit sign and dashed toward it. But as she neared the door, she ran straight into the hard chest of a masked figure. "When the lights went out," he said, voice calm, "we were meant to take one person." His hand grazed her arm. "You!" Her pulse raced. "Take me? Why?" He stepped back, revealing a glint of metal in his belt, the emblem of a group she recognized but didn't dare name. "Because you're part of this! You're more connected than you think." "Connected? How?" Claire's mind spun. The noise faded into the background. All she felt was the weight of those words. More connected than she thought. She glanced at Robert, still tangled in his own mess, shouting something about safety and promises. The man leaned closer, whispering, "Ethan Stone isn't lost. He's leading a movement, a new world. And you, Claire, you're part of it." Everything shattered in her mind. The lies, the dreams, the twisted family ties. It all twisted together like a noose. She gasped. "What do you want from me?" "Everything," he said, stepping back into the shadows as chaos unfolded again. The sounds of sirens approaching, screams rising, and fear leaking into every heartbeat. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the hall, a wave of heat washing over Claire as she stumbled, falling to her knees. The world around her blurred. What now? She thought. The truth, the movement, Ethan Stone, everything felt like a weight too heavy to hold. And then the realization struck her. The truth could destroy her family, her life, and possibly the world. What would she do next? The silence screamed louder than the chaos, and then everything went black again. The room tightened, breaths shortening, the weight of secrets heavy in the air. Claire felt the chill creeping up her spine, the familiar hum of anxiety swirling with the storm brewing inside her. But then, a crackle echoed through the hall, like thunder rippling across a desert sky. Claire spun towards the source, fear gripping her heart. The screens flickered before her, and for a brief haunting moment, she thought it was another blackout. But no, these were flashing images. A live feed. Ethan Stone's face filled the screen. Clarity washed over Claire, but it quickly turned to horror. His eyes, glassy and haunted, stared into camera. He looked different. Gaunt, weary. Where was the bravado? Where was the visionario she'd heard about? Claire, he rasped, and the name fell like a stone. The audience gasped. A collective intake of breath. "I've been watching," he said. "This was never about the rockets or the colonies. It's about you, Claire." What? Confusion clawed at her mind, a dark tide threatening to pull her under. She searched the crowd, wide-eyed faces reflecting her own disbelief. She'd expected a bold announcement, some fantastic twist about his plans. Not this. An indictment, a twisted game with her at the center. "Ethan, what are you talking about?" she yelled. her heart pounding like thunder in her chest. Your father, he's been lying. His power runs deep, tied to the very experiment that put me here. Ethan's voice echoed, filled with raw emotion. The weight of his words tugged at Claire's resolve. This wasn't just a corporate cover-up. It was a familial betrayal. The crowd shifted uneasily, whispers rippling through like a wave crashing on a rocky shore. Claire's fingers trembled at her sides, confusion and dread merging, knotting her stomach painfully. Claire, he's linked to something bigger than you can understand, Ethan continued, urgency clinging to his every word. Your family's empire is built on secrets. The pain I've endured, your father orchestrated it for power. Gasps surged through the room. Claire's heart sank. She glanced at Robert Grant, who stood with a smirk that felt like a knife twisting in her gut. He was supposed to be the enemy, the loud shadow threatening to engulf her. But was her father the true architect of this nightmare? "Listen to me, Ethan," she began, desperate yet scared. "You're wrong. My family wouldn't, they couldn't." The screen flickered and another image flashed, an old document scrawled with her father's signature. A deal made in darkness, a transaction sealed with blood. The intertwined fates of two families, bound by lies stretching over decades. "They've been using you, Claire," Ethan said, his gaze piercing through the distance. "You're the key to everything. This is a war for the future, for control, and they plan to keep you in the dark." With each word, Claire felt her ground eroding. The twisted roots of her family tree lay bare. A figure bolted from the crowd, shattering the tense silence, rushing towards the screen. A sharp blast punctured the air. Gunfire! Screams erupted, sharp and raw, tumbling through the cramped space like a domino. In the chaos, Claire's breath hitched. Bodies dropped, and chaos engulfed the room. But as the adrenaline surged through her veins, one question screamed louder than the gunfire. Who had fired? As Claire gasped for answers, a thunderous shadow loomed over her. And in that moment, everything shattered. The walls spun, relationships turned inside out, and the shimmering dream of interplanetary travel morphed into a nightmare that reached into her soul. Dread coiled tightly around her. What now? The truth or the darkness? And in this sea of chaos, would she even survive to find out? The room tightened, like a noose. Claire felt terror cloando a su trote, el peso del silencio crujiendo su resolvencia. ¿Qué tenía que hacer? La verdad lanzaba como un animal salvaje, listo de pasear. Una luz muy levante eruptió de la esquina del patio. Personas explotaron, entornos aterradores, el pánico ignitándose como gasolina tirada de alambre. La luz destellante fliqueró. Luego volvió a volar un vórtex terrificante lleno del aire. Gasps en alaba. Confusión y miedo trocan rostros en el máscara de horror. A mitad del caos, el corazón de Claire temblaba, sin comprender el imposible. Antes que pudiera reaccionar, surgieron imágenes del portal. Entraron a la realidad, ojos fríos, movimientos oscuros que despreciaban autoridad. Cada figura sentía como sombra, sacando calor del aire. The whispers grew frenzied. Gasps echoed. "I warned you," one figure announced. The voice was rich and deep, cutting through the noise like a knife. This wouldn't remain hidden. People froze, some wide-eyed, others rooted in disbelief. The world outside felt muffled, wrapped in layers of tension. Everyone awaited the next move. Claire's pulse raced. Who were these people? She felt a chill slide down her spine. The way they carried themselves spoke of power, secrets, and danger. Ethan Stone, the stranger continued, his gaze piercing through the crowd, locking on to Claire. He isn't what you think. This is bigger than dreams of the stars. You are all part of a simulation, a test of your will. A collective murmur rippled through the audience. Claire could barely breathe. Simulated? The weight of those words hit like a punch. Her family, her life, everything she believed. Was it all a lie? This couldn't be true. Yet, as if sensing her thoughts, the stranger stepped closer. I can show you the truth. His eyes glinted, as if reading her very soul. All you need do is listen. The crowd surged forward, drawn by the magnetic pull of his words. Claire's gut twisted. She knew there was no turning back. Her family's ties, Robert Grant's motives, Ethan's secret, they all spun into a tangled web she had barely begun to untangle. Robert pushed to the front, rage igniting in him. What do you want? Who are you? His voice quaked with anger, though underneath was fear. The stranger smiled, almost predatory. We are the architects. We shape the reality you know. Ethan Stone was merely the beginning. Much more is on the horizon. Your families have roles to play, and it's time to step into the light. Gasps erupted. Reality felt like it was fracturing. Could it be true? The world they thought they knew, crafted by unseen hands. The tension hung thick, electric. Then something shifted. In the shadows, a figure stepped forth. Claire recognized the silhouette. It was her father. Claire, he thundered, his voice breaking. Don't listen to them. They'll turn everything upside down. The crowd swelled with voices, some screaming, others pleading. Claire's mind raced. What did her father know? Why was he so terrified? The portal pulsed, colors swirling in an ominous dance. Choose wisely, the stranger cautioned. The truth is a powerful thing, and once revealed, it will shatter your bonds. Claire's heart pounded. Behind her, the weight of her family pressed down, and ahead, the abyss of uncertainty loomed. What would she choose? The truth or the safety of a comfortable lie? The countdown to her decision began, and the silence screamed louder than ever. Everything stopped. The stranger's words hung in the air like a thick fog, enveloping Claire in confusion and dread. The tension was electric. Hearts raced, breath quickened, and all eyes darted between the screen and the unfolding catastrophe. Then her father stepped forward, eyes darting nervously. "Claire!" he shouted, desperation spilling from his tone. "You can't trust them. They'll manipulate you." In that moment, the portal trembled, vibrating like a living thing. Shadows moved closer, and Claire felt an eerie chill sweep through the room. She was caught between Ethan's plea and her father's frantic warnings. Time stretched, heavy with uncertainty. But then, everything changed. A loud crash cut through the tension, like thunder in clear skies. The ground shook violently. a deep rumbling that made the walls tremble. The lights flickered, casting anxious shadows across the crowd. Claire felt herself being thrown back. She landed hard, breath knocked from her lungs. Stars danced in her vision. Pain shot through her side, but she forced herself to stand, adrenaline igniting her system. Through the flurry of chaos, a voice pierced the screeching panic. "Get down!" It was Robert Grant, moving towards her like a lighthouse in the storm, shielding her as debris fell like rain. Suddenly, from the thrumming energy of the portal, a figure emerged. Not a suit-clad architect of control, but a small girl, barely 10. Her face was eerily calm amid the madness. Wisps of dark hair fell over her face, revealing bright green eyes that burned with an unsettling intensity. Her presence silenced the noise. "Stop!" she commanded, voice surprisingly strong. "I'm here to end this." The crowd froze, staring at her as if she were a ghost. Claire's heart raced. Who was this child? Why was she here? "Ethan's plan, it doesn't end with him," the girl continued. "This isn't just about freedom. It's about the end of the old world. I can unlock what he started." Claire's breath hitched. That child wasn't just any random figure. She was connected to this web of lies, like a twisted thread in a masterpiece of chaos. Were those Ethan's intentions, to plant such a profound truth? What had he truly begun? As the girl stepped further into view, a flicker of astonishment lit up her wide eyes. "Claire, you don't know what your father did. He's not who you think he is." Claire's blood ran cold. Her father? The man she'd trusted, her anchor in this storm? "What do you mean?" she gasped, her heart thumping like a war drum. "Your father. He engineered everything," the girl whispered with haunting clarity. "The project, Ethan's disappearance, all the lives lost. He planned to test humanity's soul, to see how far it would push for power." Before Claire could process this revelation, the ground shook again. The lights flickered wildly, and chaos renewed its grip. In the distance, crimson lights pulsed, a siren echoing like a warning. Claire's world spun, threads of truth unraveling at an alarming pace. Her heart raced, not just with fear, but with the furious pounding of betrayal. "No, it can't be," she choked out, the lump in her throat hardening. But the girl's eyes held steady, pierced with deep-seated truth. "It can, and it will. This isn't the end." It's just the beginning. As the ground trembled, Claire's relationship with her father felt shattered, splintered across shards of reality. Did she even know him? Was her life a lie? In that moment, everything she believed flipped upside down. The girl's expression morphed, and she pointed urgently. "Now you must choose, Claire. Will you stand with your family or with the truth?" Overhead, the cacophony grew louder. A war cry echoed in the chaos that ensued. Claire, teetering on the edge of everything she thought she knew, felt the world black out momentarily as she faced a cold, daunting choice. And with that, as tension reached its peak, time swept away. All certainty evaporated, leaving only the unanswered questions to linger amidst the chaos. The truth would ripple through lives like a storm, but who would survive it? The countdown beat in Claire's chest, each tick a reminder that time was slipping away. She stood in the chaos, caught between Ethan's revelations and her father's wild, desperate warnings. The weight of the girl's words hung thick in the air. Was she really part of something larger than herself? Trust felt like a slippery slope, but her instincts screamed danger. Before she could process everything swirling around her, the ground shook again, a violent tremor that rattled the world. People screamed, scrambling for safety. Claire stumbled back, the bright lights overhead flickering ominously. Panic seized her, and for a moment, nothing felt real. Just shadows and fear. And then it happened. The portal pulsated violently, colors churning, and from within emerged a figure that made Claire's heart freeze. The person stepped forward out of the chaos, illuminated by the chaotic flickering of lights. Claire's breath caught. It was her mother. Eyes wide, terror plastered across her face. "Claire!" she shouted, breaking through the panic. "You have to listen to me!" The crowd gasped, shock rippling through the room. Claire felt as if the ground had been ripped from beneath her. Her mother? Here? Not only that, why was she in the midst of this madness? "Mom!" Claire's voice cracked. "What are you doing here?" But her mother barely acknowledged her. "You have to stop this. It's all going to unravel." Tears filled her eyes, and the fear on her face sent a chill down Claire's spine. "What do you mean?" Claire pushed closer, desperate to understand. But the moment was shattered as another blast echoed through the hall. A sharp crack that rang like a gunshot. Everyone ducked, the sound echoing in the chaos. The stranger in the suit stiffened, eyes darting, scanning the crowd. "Hold your ground," he roared, but even he seemed shaken. "Mom, please!" Claire cried, moving closer to her. "What's happening? Why are you here? What's going on?" Her mother turned, her face pale and panic-stricken. "You don't know everything. There are things we've kept from you. Things that involve this project, Ethan, and your father." The words felt like shards of ice, spearing through Claire's heart. "What do you mean?" "What about Dad?" Her mother hesitated, voice trembling. He's not just a businessman. He's tied to this. He made a deal decades ago with people who had plans for humanity, for control and power." The accusation hung in the air like a dark cloud. Doubt punctured Claire's heart, and she felt her world shift beneath her like a cruel tide. Just then, the ground bucked violently again, and chaos erupted anew. The girl stepped beside Claire's mother, locked in an unexpected connection, exchanging a loaded glance. "You're part of it too," she whispered urgently. "It's the only way to break free." As another loud commotion thundered outside, the room shook once more. The tension morphed, growing heavier, smothering the air. A bright flash erupted from the portal as it began to pulse wildly, like a heartbeat gone out of rhythm. That's when everything changed. In that very breath, time peeled back, and a blinding light exploded from the center of the room. Claire shielded her eyes, gasping, and when she opened them, what she saw made the energy in the room shift completely. The stranger in the suit was no longer alone. He stood beside her father, smirking, eyes filled with a victorious gleam. "That's right," her father said. "It was all a setup. You think you've been chosen? No, Claire, you're just a pawn in our game." Shock coursed through Claire's veins like ice water. The world spun, betrayal cutting deep. Her father? The puppet master? No, it can't be! She gasped, her heart shattering as all her beliefs crashed down around her. But as her mother reached for her, looking lost and terrified, everything around them began to bend and twist. The walls flickered like fading photographs. Claire's breath quickened. This was not just a shocking revelation. This was a fundamental betrayal at the very core of her existence. The air crackled as the reality around them splintered. She looked from her father to the girl, to her mother. "What now?" she whispered, the shadows swirling around her, every truth lying shattered at her feet. The countdown was no longer ticking down. It had begun again, reshaping the world she thought she knew. And then, in that moment of uncertainty, the portal flickered brightly, ready to consume them all. Was it an exit? A trap? Her heart pounded as the room spun, her choices collapsing into a singular question. Was there any way out at all? The ground trembled as Claire's father stood before the portal, the weight of betrayal heavy in the air. Everything she'd believed was unraveling, threads of trust snapping like dry twigs. This was the moment of truth. "Claire, you don't understand. I did it for you. For us." His voice cracked, desperation spilling from his lips. Chaos swirled around them, but she couldn't focus on anything but his words. "Did you? Or for your own power?" Claire shot back, heart racing. She felt the eyes of the crowd, wide with disbelief, taking in this shocking family drama. "Enough!" the suited stranger barked. "This has gone on long enough. The truth must come out now." With a flick of his wrist, the portal flared, bright and overwhelming. Shadows danced, weaving through the air, and Claire shielded her eyes. She held her breath, waiting for what came next, as a connection sparked between her and the child from earlier, who stood resolute beside her mother. "Stop the cycle!" the girl shouted, voice steady and fierce. "Help us break free from this!" A collective gasp echoed as the ground trembled again. Claire felt it deep in her bones. She turned to her mother, heart aching. "What do we do?" "Be brave, Claire," her mother urged, eyes glistening with fear and support. "You're stronger than you know. You can choose to break this." Claire felt the weight of those words. She looked at Ethan's face, flickering on the screen, pleading for her to understand before everything changed. I can't trust you, not after everything." "Just remember," Ethan's visage flickered. "You are the key, Claire. Only you can ignite the change." The room pulsed with energy, and she remembered the pendant. Still gripped tightly in her palm, it hummed against her skin. This was the heart of it all. A moment stretched, every heartbeat echoing like a drum. Suddenly, with a roar, the portal surged forth, casting brilliant light. Claire stepped towards it, every fear converging into a single sparkling moment of choice. "I choose truth!" she yelled, and with that, she hurled the pendant into the dazzling light. Time folded around her as bursts of color exploded like fireworks. The world distorted, twisting around her, breaking apart the chains of deception. She felt her heart racing, fear mingling with exhilaration. In the blink of an eye, everything stopped. Darkness enveloped her for a moment, before the light returned with gentle clarity. Claire blinked, finding herself back in the hall, but everything had shifted. The crowd was gone. She found herself alone. The faint echo of Ethan's voice whispering, "You did it!" But where were her mother and the girl? What had happened to her father? The silence was deafening. She glanced around, heart thudding as uncertainty wrapped around her like a shroud. Then, a flicker of movement caught her eye. At the edge of the stage, the girl stood again, eyes glowing brightly. "You've changed everything, Claire." "What do you mean?" Claire stepped closer, confusion swirling in her gut. "The ending is just the beginning," the girl replied, a knowing smile creeping across her face. In that instant, Claire realized this battle was far from over. The choices made would ripple across realities, both her own and those yet to come. Could she handle what lay ahead? "Will I find them?" she whispered, a mix of hope and doubt swelling within her. As the girl turned, shadows flickered around her, a door opening into unknown possibilities. "You have to find your path, Claire," she said softly, before disappearing into a haze of light. The room grew still and silent once more, and Claire stood alone, the weight of countless futures pressing in. What lay ahead? Questions piled on top of questions, endlessly unspooled like a fraying thread. And then came a voice, familiar and warm. "Claire." Whipping around, she saw her mother emerging from the mist, relief washing over her face. But that was all. Just the two of them, standing in this new, uncertain future. "Are you ready?" her mother asked, hand extended, an invitation to explore what lay beyond. Claire took a deep breath, heart racing. "I think I might be," she replied, uncertain yet exhilarated. Together, they moved towards the shimmering light, embracing whatever lay ahead. Now it's your turn. You have to subscribe to the channel immediately so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and make sure this story reaches more fans. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What did it mean? What is next for Claire and her family? And don't wait even a second longer to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Remember, only true fans like you understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions, so get to it.